Hello, welcome to another edition of Radio YesCymru with me, Sean Jobbins. And my guest today is Geraint Panorama Thomas, and he's going to be talking about letters from friends. So a new international news about very similar organizations campaigning for independence in Western Europe. Geraint, welcome to the program.
Thank you very
And
much.
I got to say, I always call you Geraint Panorama, so I had to look down on the street to check what your surname was. I knew it was like a Thomas, Davis, Williams, one of these boring surnames, Geraint. You'll get something sensible like Jobbins. So Geraint Panorama, great campaigner with YesCymru. Now, this is great stuff. So just to give people an idea, YesCymru is a part of an organization called ICEC, which is the International Commission for European Citizens. So it's basically campaigns across Western Europe similar to YesCymru. So other nations campaigning for independence broadly. And ICEC now are launching something in the next few weeks called Letters from Friends, which is basically sets of articles by different nations campaign for independence and saying where they're at and what the campaign is for. Am I right?
That's right, exactly it. So it's going to be a newsletter. Each organisation then, there's seven core nations with ICEC. So we've got Wales and Scotland, we've got Flanders, we've got Catalonia and the Basque Country, and then we have also Tyrol and Veneto. They are the core seven nations.
Right.
But we also have partner nations. We have Ireland and Brittany, we have Sicily, Sardinia, Galicia, and also Greenland, who are going to be contributing. Not always, but they're going to be contributing from time to time. So it's basically a newsletter. Everybody will give us an update. So it's going to be out bi-monthly, out every 2 months. And everybody just give an update of where they're at, which direction they're going, and how they're campaigning and so on.
Right, because I mean, that's a very diverse group of nations, different size, people at different stages of the independence campaign, and also in very different types of nation states. So, I mean, I think we in Wales are obviously familiar with Scotland. Many people would be familiar with Britain because of the linguistic situation. We're, of course, familiar with Ireland, which is already a fully independent nation state, at least in most of the island. And then you've got people like Tyrol, which is a German-speaking area in the north of Italy, which is basically given to Italy as a compensation for joining the First World War on the side of the Allies in 1915, 1918. Veneto, which is basically, as the name suggests, which is north of Venice, and that hinterland, and then the islands of Sardinia and Sicily, and then Greenland, which is a part of the Danish kingdom. So, I mean, I'm imagining, Geraint, there's quite a lot of difference in the articles. Or do you expect there'll be differences, or what kind of differences are there?
Yeah, huge differences. We have all our campaigns are in different stages as well. So we're looking at the ones we've always considered to be way ahead of everybody else. We say Scotland and Catalonia, but in fact, on the face of it, they seem to have hit the buffers, and they've kind of stagnated a little bit, but ready to move on maybe to the next phase of campaigning. Their articles are sometimes and the way they address the whole situation is slightly retrospective. Scotland looking back to 2014, Catalonia looking to 2017. We have campaigns such as Sicily, which is absolutely gathering pace at a huge rate now. They've got a very strong campaign there, a very wide and varied and very passionate group of very young people who lead the campaign there. And they hold events, and they are pretty active. The mass movement is very strong there. Also, Brittany, they've just launched YesCymru. They're starting from quite a low point because they're trying to, in fact, unify the whole legal status of Britain as a département in France before even moving forward to campaign properly then for independence. So it's all very varied, all very interesting.
Yeah, because YesCymru is obviously typically of the French state. The Nazis lobbed off Nantes and Oaned from that department from Brittany, historic Brittany. Nantes was a capital Brittany at one time. And it's one of the few things the French state was very happy to keep after Nazis. They kept the division of Brittany on purpose. But I know that's been a big campaign for years in Brittany to reunite North and Arned with the other four departments of the nation. So I say there's a difference there. Sicily has one of the best flags, I've got to say. It's a nice trisket, similar to the flag of the Isle of Man. So I'm very fond of that. I'm also very fond of the Greenlandic flag. And their situation is very different because, I mean, they're almost there in terms of Greenland. They've essentially self-government and very big powers. They only just missed out on getting their own football team. Faroe Islands got in early and they got it successfully accepted. Then Greenland sort of dragged their feet because I think they have 1 week of football in a year because of the weather. And then I think Spain sort of basically got UEFA to change the rules after that. So there are some big changes. I mean, as a Welsh movement, YesCymru, and you're part of the YesCymru movement, very high up there. How do you see Wales's situation within this group of friends?
Well, to be honest with you, I think we are pretty much admired at the moment. I think we are they are looking to us for a little bit of inspiration. Of course, we're in a really positive place because we are fighting for independence from one state. So lots of the other nations, we've got Catalonia and the Basque Country, are obviously fighting for independence from two states. Our campaign, even though we sometimes worry in Wales, but our campaign is much more unified than other campaigns, maybe Scotland. We're starting from a high point as well. We've got we're in a good place when it comes to national identity within Wales. Lots of our citizens identify as Welsh.
Yes.
We're gaining ground in the polls. And compared to maybe like Brittany, even though they're super passionate and they're absolutely on the right track and they're working up, but they're starting from a much lower base than what we are. So to be honest with you, I think the positivity in Wales is kind of rubbing off now on other nations. I think the biggest challenge for us in Wales is to persuade all of us Welsh people that we are on the right track and getting there pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's always the case. Yeah, that's interesting because Wales in a way is sort of in the middle type of nation. We're not as big as obviously the Catalan nation, including Catalonia, Valencia, the Balearic Islands, bits which are stuck in France. And then we don't have the divisions, as you say, which Brittany has. So one department is slobbed off from the rest of the nation. The Basque Country, one part is in the French state, biggest part is in Spanish state, but they're divided between the Navarre, which is an autonomous community, and then Euskadi, which is the three other provinces, which create another autonomous community. And we do have that unity. We have a defined border. We also have a unique language, which is not as strong as Catalan, of course, but it's stronger than some of the other languages, and certainly in terms of status, which is, I presume, not the situation with Sicilian or Sardinian to the same situation. So, I mean, in one respect, Wales can be interesting, and I think there's something in the Welsh experience which every other nation can take something from without us being so incredibly successful that it is unobtainable. So, I mean, how do you think are they looking, if they are looking at ways, as things to maybe emulate, and what things can we emulate, do you think, from these letters or from the experience that we in Wales and YesCymru can emulate from other nations?
Well, what they can learn from us is the positivity of our campaign and the fact that the only way I can put it is the forward-looking nature of our campaign. That's something through you'll find through the pieces, the letters, as we call them, from friends, that we are, even though we do look in the rearview mirrors back at history, we don't do it half as much as other nations. Other nations' contributions tend to be even obviously very recent history, looking back to referendum in Scotland in 2014, in Catalonia in 2017, the hand of history. The history of Franco is very fresh in the minds of people of Catalonia, and there's always talk of commemorating martyrdom. Even the Flemish guys are always commemorating and talking about battles that happened in the 14th and 15th century. Even though we do, and we're very proud, and we've used our history being whatever it may be. It'd be the drowning of the Tryweryn Valley or whatever it may be. As part of our campaigns, we've never been retrospective in the way we campaign in Wales. We've always been quite forward-looking and trying to imagine the Wales we all want to live in and campaigning to that kind of thing. And I think that's what I've learned is, the positivity of our campaign. It must be said, Brittany and Sardinia are very much on the same page as us. And I think everybody else is trying to get there.
That's interesting.
And Sicily as well. So Sicily are very much forward thinking, things have been pretty bad there. They've been treated awfully by the Italian state. But they're using that as a springboard and they are looking forward. Be careful of how many rear view mirrors you've got on your campaign. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I studied history. I love history. But if you want to, well, you need both, don't you? You need something which gives people a sense of common endeavor in the past, but also especially with the changing face of all our nations, we need to be bringing new people into the national community, and past stories don't always resonate with even who people you'd expect to be resonating with. I'm just thinking, these are very different nations, and everyone's national movement is quite different, and we have to respect them. I remember someone telling me that the problem with Welsh nationalists, I think an Irish friend said, Welsh nationalists think that other nationalists from small countries are the same as Welsh nationalists or Welsh nationalism, and it's not, because we have a movement which has been strongly influenced by things like pacifism, which doesn't have the same resonance in other nations. Obviously, Plaid Cymru is set up after the First World War, inspired by Ireland and Sinn Féin, and also by the waste of the First World War. So that's had a very big imprint on our type of nationalism. There's different types in Wales, of course. How are the different types of national identity or national movements, politically, with small p, manifest itself in these letters, do you think?
Yeah, and also how do they bring the language, especially into their campaigns? All of the other partner nations, especially the core partner nations of ICEC, the language plays a huge part of they intertwined. The campaign for independence is intertwined with the campaign for the success of their languages, and somewhat through YesCymru, because it was it's always been a single issue campaign. We've detached the issue. I think it's absolutely the correct thing to do. But it's quite interesting that they intertwine much more than we do, all the issues together. Yeah.
Because, YesCymru makes big use of the Welsh language, obviously. I remember we decided fairly early on that it wasn't a campaign for the Welsh language. Cymdeithas ar Iaith, dyfodol ar Iaith, other people do that. And we've taken whilst with official documents and stuff are obviously in Welsh as well as in English. The social media varies. So other nations, are they doing the same, or how do they replicate that, or how do they deal with that issue?
They're absolutely, all of them are different from Wales, because the YesCymru campaign is, as I say, we separate the issue of, and I think it's a strength of YesCymru. It's a single issue, non-party political affiliated campaign, and this is absolutely the core strength of our campaign here. And I think some of the nations, we had Phil Griffiths and I had a meeting with Anna from Catalonia for about 2.5 hours last night, and they're on a bit of a learning curve because they're trying to rebuild the campaign there. And Phil and I actually were lucky enough to go out to Catalonia in September, and we sat down for an afternoon with the president and the board of directors of the Assemblea Nacional Catalunya. It was a meeting I was been looking forward to for a long time. But in fact, when we sat down with them around that table, in fact, I had a feeling that their campaign had totally stalled. They were turning round and around in the same circles that I had, looking, as I say, backwards to 2017. And now they kind of looking, what can we do differently? I think they've always struggled to find a roadmap to what can they do, because they actually won the referendum.
Yes.
But what roadmap can they put in place to achieve referendum this time? What can they do differently? There's no point replicating the same thing again. So that's why they're looking at them.
this is a big.
Because in Catalonia, it's always been the same in Catalonia. All the campaigns, since the birth of time, have been fragmented and confused and stuff. And they're looking now to have a single issue. Not to mix the party politics. They've seen the danger, and this maybe is a lesson for everybody. In the campaign in Catalonia, I think that the whole mass movement put far too much. They put far too much of their energy into supporting the pro-independence political parties, and then that became supporting the leaders. And when all of that failed, and that was the death of the mass movement, and they still tend to rebuild that. So this time round, they'll be looking at not putting everything into the political party and building the mass movement as a stronger one. Yeah,
I think it is worth noting as well, though. I mean, that the Spanish state has in its constitution that the military has a role to keep the unity of the Spanish state, and they take that literally to be the case. And I remember when they had the referendum in 2017, telling someone, I wouldn't be surprised to see tanks on the streets of Barcelona, and I wouldn't have been surprised, nor would they have. So I mean, that's something which is very different for the experience here in Wales and Scotland, and the situation in France is also just very hostile to something which isn't so Jacobin French only. So we do have that leeway. So I think it is dangerous for people to say, we can replicate what's happened in Wales, but we have a specific situation within this nation state, the UK nation state, where there's a concept of it's a union of some sort between Scotland and England, essentially, with Wales so tagged on, really from the 19th century, seen as some kind of a nation. And then Ireland, of course, just makes things more complicated for Westminster. So I mean, we're very lucky in that respect, even though we have other big problems as well. I mean, I was thinking, we may be moving on to it. So yes, so just to people understand, this is a free newsletter on email. If you sign up, you can get the newsletter every 2 months, I believe. Then I think it's meant to be every month. Then it's an updated newsletter.
No, I think we're going to still keep it at every 2 months.
Right. Okay.
If you receive any of the YesCymru, which you all should, YesCymru emails, you'll get it in your inbox on the firstly on the 1st of December, and then it'll be every 2 months. So then the second one will come out then on the 1st of February. So there'll be 6 issues every year, and basically we'll hope to keep everybody updated. Now the concept behind this as well is that we sometimes feel that we are all alone. Do you know what I mean? In Wales, we felt that this campaign. And going back to what you said earlier on, Sean, we've always emulated other campaigns from the formation of Plaid Cymru, inspired by Ireland. I think YesCymru was inspired by you guys going up to Scotland and campaigning for the referendum there in 2014, and the Catalan. I think we've been inspired by other nations all the time. And the more we can do of inspiring each other, I think the stronger we're going to be. I think in the long run, ICEC will be a body, and plans are in place now to kind of unify a lot of the campaigns across the nations. Eventually, we feel as an organisation that we will need some kind of domino effect of independence in a pretty short space of maybe 5 or 6 years. We can achieve independence for lots of our nations. Maybe early next decade.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the experience of independence in Eastern Europe, isn't it? It doesn't have. Ireland, in a way, is very much the exception, which just stands out in Western Europe, and it's a particular set of situation and context in Ireland. But the rest of Europe, they've got independence together after the First World War, and the big shake-up of that, and then after 1991, with the big shape-up and the failure of basically the communist state in the USSR. So, I mean, I think when we do go independent, I think you're right, Geraint, there will be some kind of domino effect. I always find it interesting. I mean, I keep saying this, my little pet theory, about 18 years, there's a big change every 18 years or so. And I think there is something that, so I'm looking at, 2014, the referendum in Scotland, 2016, Brexit, that kind of time. So we're looking at, I think, beginning 2030s, I think. The last chat I had on Radio YesCymru podcast was with Leslie Riddoch from Scotland. And she said, look, you need to be ready in 2029. because, if there's a general election in Westminster then, and if Reform win or whatever happens in the election after that in Scotland, there will be harakiri, there'll be actually people will be shouting if the SNP doesn't go ahead with some kind of referendum or a pathway to independence. I mean, we need to be ready with these things. And it is instructive. I'm down at my parents' house. My father passed away in August, and he was the secretary of the campaign for Welsh Parliament. And they set up in 1987, and it took 10 years to get the assembly, and then they finished in 2011 when the actual parliament came with the second referendum. So it does make you think, yes, Cymru was formed in 2016. At the moment, it looks like the polls are saying that in 2026, so 10 years' time, there will be a pro-independence party governing the Welsh Parliament. So these things can happen very quickly, people. I mean, and I'm thinking of YesBrays. I don't know what's going to happen. The French state is a very, well, I believe, fascistic attitude towards Breton nationality. But something's going to happen in Brays, I think, in about 10 years' time. Because once the genie's out of the pot, then it's not going back in. And I think once people have an idea and you make the case, forcefully, clearly, fairly as well, and there's a danger then of talking too much about history, I think. Then you can't, the nation state can't get rid of it. It's out in the ether, and I think that's such an important message for people out there.
Yeah, I'm going to come in there with an absolute date. I know which year we're going to achieve independence in Wales, by the way.
Tell me, I'm excited.
And the hand of history will be on our shoulders. So it's going to be 2032. So everything points to 2032, and it's going to be exactly 750 years after we lost independence in Kilmary in 1282. Where the hell have we been for 750 years? I don't know, but it's going to be perfect. It's going to be karma, and everything's pointing. I think we're all on that journey to 2032.
Yeah,
that's what I'd say.
Well, I think that kind of date sort of makes sense to me, and with my 18-year theory as well. I mean, we don't know. Who knows? I mean, I know some people say we need to get the independence before 2036. So for non-Welsh viewers, this is Wales was incorporated into England. We just became a realm of England in 1536. There are two acts of Wales, 1536 and 1542, where we just became a part of England. They got rid of whole Welsh law. English was made the only official language. There was some kind of a Welsh council for a decade or two after that, but we incorporated England. Well, it is quite interesting because in the 19th century, there's a lot of talk about Irish home rule, some talk about Scottish home rule, and you have people like O.M. Edwards, who was a Liberal MP, starts talking about the Act of Union with Wales. I mean, the Irish who had the Act of Union in 1801, the Scots in 1707. I think O.M. Edwards sort of bigs up, the Act of Union with Wales and England, 1536. We basically incorporated into it. But I think, yeah, so we're aiming certainly by 2036. We want to be out of this union by then. We don't want to be commemorating our subjugation. What would it be? No. 600 years later? That's a bit crazy. So if people are listening to this again, Geraint, and they maybe not a member of YesCymru or whatever, how can they sign up to the letters from friends newsletter?
If you go onto any of the YesCymru social media channels, you'll see posts up about this. There's a little graphic with what looks like a travelogue book, which is called the Letters from Friends. On the post itself, there'll be a link, and you can sign up to receive the newsletter. It's free. You don't have to pay. You can also find it if you don't want to sign up for the newsletter. It will be up from again on the 1st of December on the ICEC International website. So it'll be up there as well.
That's it. We'll give a link to the ICEC website with the notes for this podcast. Just to finish off, Geraint, I mean, as you're on the board or the national board of YesCymru and a very active member, just congratulate you on the Rhyl march. I was a bit nervous, as I told Leslie Riddoch. It was in October, it was a week before the very important by-election in Caerphilly. A lot of people are down there. Rhyl isn't a very strong area for the Welsh national movement, as people may know. And I was sort of thinking maybe to myself, are people just so bored of independence rallies? You know, I mean, I was thinking maybe that's people just been to a few too many now. But you know, there's good turnout. I mean, there's over 2,000 people there, which I thought was very good, certainly that time of year and location. Good vibes, very good speeches as well, I thought. And the whole atmosphere was, you know, the good live bands there, and it just good feel about the whole thing. So I'd like to congratulate you and the rest of the crew about that. I mean, what was the general consensus within sort of the hierarchy, if you like, of YesCymru? Did people feel it went well, or are there things to change or to improve on?
Yeah, and to be honest with you, at the moment, I'm not in the hierarchy of YesCymru. I'm not on the board of
Right, you
directors.
mean?
I haven't been for a little while, but just for
Right.
now, I'm taking a little hiatus. But
That's
yeah,
it.
absolutely. Rhyl was part of our year of going absolutely out of our comfort zone. So Barry was a brilliant
Yeah,
march, and it was in somewhere where it's not a natural
yeah,
stronghold of independence. And Rhyl, well, this is Point Nemo of all, I
yeah.
would say, all the areas of Wales. And it was hard work, but to be
Mm.
honest with you, it gave me more joy than any of the other
All right.
matches, I think, because the impact not only on the day of the match was phenomenal, and seeing people out on the streets, even the people of Hill joining in on the match. You know, they were
All
just
right.
stood there on the side of the road and joining in, which is something you
Fab.
hardly ever see.
Yeah,
But in the
yeah,
weeks leading up as well, there's several reasons why we hold the matches. You know,
yeah.
we do it for the impact on town, you know, and seeing the
Of
people
course.
there. It's been like a party conference as well. People want them. They want to hear the speeches, and
Yeah,
they want to be build up with fuel for the next 6 months of campaigning, and
yeah,
also you do it for the media profile as well, something you don't get a lot of.
yeah.
But in Hill, I think he was superb. You know, we had volunteers going out for 5 weeks,
Oh,
volunteering to leaflet the whole of town, two
yeah,
leaflets, and explain why Hill needs independence leaflet and the
yeah.
flyer. And people were talking about independence in Hill. And I think the
Fab.
weekend before the match, we went round all the businesses with a letter
Yeah,
explaining what's going on, you know, and what we were
yeah,
about, and any concerns they might have with
yeah.
contact details. And they were grown men in pubs talking about independence there, and I've never seen anything like it. You know, the chats
Amazing.
were something like, "Oh, Andy and
Yeah,
Rob, very supportive of independence. I'm not so sure myself, but tell you what, I might come around on Saturday and listen to what you guys have got to say." So I
yeah.
think that fills my heart with joy. This is what it's
Yeah,
all
well,
about. Do you
yeah,
know what I mean?
and it is, and you're
But
absolutely right to
apart from
go.
that, I think
Yeah,
you know, there were a few thousand people there. Obviously, if we
yeah,
went to Cardiff or Caernarfon, we'd have a
yeah,
few thousand more. But there we go. That's why we go to places
yeah,
like Hill,
exactly.
to have that impact. It looked well. I think in the end, everything, you know, the organisationally went.
Yeah,
I couldn't wish for anything better. And as you say, we kept the speeches to with a few less this time round. I think it worked really
yeah,
well, and they
yeah. I
were
think that was
pretty
good.
good. Yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
very
and without
happy.
this turning into some kind of a YesCymru loving, you know, I think the comms after has been very good in terms of showing clips from the speeches, and of course all the speeches are in full on the YesCymru YouTube channel, as is the Radio YesCymru podcast as well. I mean, I won't put you on the start, but we'll come to conclusion now. But I mean, I presume YesCymru are now looking to next year, 2026, which is a huge year here in Wales. Vote for the Senedd in May. At the moment, it looks like we're going to have a pro-independence Plaid Cymru leading the government there. I hope Plaid are actually looking at getting the building blocks of independence together, as well as doing the day job. I think we need to be open to that. As Leslie Riddoch says in the last podcast, worth listening to. You know, if Scotland are going to be kicking off for an independence vote or something around 2029, we can't hang around. You know, this may not be of our choice as it happens at the moment.
No.
But in any case, I will finish with that. Geraint Thomas from YesCymru, I'm looking forward to seeing the letters from friends. I'm always interested in the international aspect of the independence movement here in Wales. We have a lot to learn. I think sometimes, yeah, maybe we need to be, as Welsh people, maybe understand how that maybe some people actually surprising to me want to learn from Wales as well. And I'm very, very glad to see that this initiative has been taken on by ICEC and by YesCymru. So just to remind people, you can sign up if you're on the YesCymru mailing list, you'll get this. If not, you can sign up and maybe just go to the ICEC website or the YesCymru website and click on the information there. Is it? And then ICEC is ICEC.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. And well, links to this
ICEC,
on
even though we say ICEC, it's ICEC.
yeah. So there'll be links in the show notes on this podcast. Geraint Thomas, unwaith eto, diolch yn fawr I ti. Thanks a lot for making time to speak to us on Radio YesCymru. And all your listeners, please share the love with Radio YesCymru. Tell your friends and family about it, and give us 5-star ratings and leave nice comments on the YouTube page so we can get more people understanding and listening to Radio YesCymru. From me, Sean Jobbins, till next time, pob hwyl.